My wife's work trip was actually a weekend with her ex. I found out through her accidentally shared location and realized our entire marriage was built on lies. I discovered my wife's affair because of a location sharing app we'd set up for emergencies and forgotten about. One accidental notification changed everything. Showed me that her HR conference in Miami was actually a romantic weekend at a beachfront resort with her ex-boyfriend. But that wasn't even the worst part. The worst part was realizing that this wasn't a one-time mistake. It was a carefully orchestrated double life she'd been living for years. Hey Reddit, this is the story of how a single iPhone notification unraveled 6 years of marriage and revealed that the woman I thought I knew was actually a stranger. I'm Tyler, 34 years old, and what I'm about to tell you will make you question whether you can ever truly know the person you're married to. You know that sick feeling when something seems slightly off but you can't identify what it is? When your instincts whisper warnings but your brain dismisses them as paranoia? That's where this story begins. But to understand how completely I was deceived, you need to understand what I thought my marriage was versus what it actually was. I met her 7 years ago when I was 27 and she was 25. I was working in pharmaceutical sales, traveling throughout the Southwest, making about $85,000 a year. Cassandra was working in human resources at a tech company in Phoenix, making around $62,000. We met at a professional networking event, one of those after-work mixers where young professionals pretend to care about industry trends while actually just trying to meet people. Cassandra was striking, tall, polished, professional, but warm. She had this way of making you feel like you were the most interesting person in the room. We talked for 2 hours that night, exchanged numbers, and went on our first date 3 days later. The first year of dating was intense in the best way. We traveled together when our work schedules aligned, weekend trips to San Diego, Sedona, Las Vegas. We had similar ambitions, career-focused, interested in building financial stability, wanting to enjoy life before settling down with kids. We both came from middle-class backgrounds and wanted to achieve more than our parents had. It felt like partnership, like we were building towards shared goals. Cassandra was independent in ways I found attractive. She had her own career, her own friends, her own interests. She didn't need me. She chose me. Or so I thought. Looking back, I wonder if that independence I admired was actually just the space she needed to maintain secrets. We got engaged after 2 years of dating. I proposed during a trip to Hawaii, on a beach at sunset, with an $8,500 ring I'd saved for over 6 months. She cried, said yes, posted photos immediately. Her social media caption was "Found my forever person." I believed it completely. We got married when I was 29 and she was 27. Wedding in Scottsdale, about 150 guests, beautiful venue, perfect Arizona weather. My parents were there, her parents were there, our friends celebrated with us. In the photos, we looked genuinely happy. And I was happy, completely, naively happy. The first few years of marriage were good. We both advanced in our careers. I became a regional sales manager making $105,000. She became a senior HR manager making $72,000. We bought a house in a nice Phoenix suburb for $385,000. Nice neighborhood, good schools for when we eventually had kids, close to both our offices. We talked about having children eventually. Cassandra wanted to wait until she was 30, wanted to establish her career first, wanted to travel more before being tied down by parenting responsibilities. I was fine with that. We had time, no rush. Our marriage settled into a comfortable rhythm. We both traveled occasionally for work, me for sales conferences and client meetings, her for HR training sessions and corporate retreat. We trusted each other completely. Why wouldn't we? We were married. We'd made vows. We were partners building a life together. Cassandra traveled maybe once every 2 months, usually 3 or 4 day trips to various cities for HR conferences or company events. She'd always tell me her itinerary, what hotel she'd be staying at, when she'd be back. I never questioned any of it, never had a reason to. She'd call me from the hotel, send photos of conference centers or hotel lobbies, text about boring keynote speakers or networking dinners. It all seemed completely normal. I traveled more frequently, maybe twice a month for client visits or regional sales meetings. When I was gone, Cassandra was home holding down the fort. When she was gone, I did the same. It was just part of being married to 2 professionals with demanding careers. Or so I thought. Looking back now, I can identify small things that should have raised red flags, but at the time, each one seemed innocuous or easily explainable. Cassandra was protective of her phone. Not dramatically. She didn't hide it or change passwords or panic if I was near it, but she always kept it face down, always had notifications on silent, always took it with her even just to go to the bathroom. When I'd ask who she was texting, she'd say, work stuff or my sister or the group chat. Normal responses. Believable responses. She had a separate credit card she used for work expenses. Said it was easier to track business spending that way, that her company reimbursed her monthly. I never looked at the statements. Why would I? I trusted her. And honestly, we kept our finances fairly separate anyway. Joint account for shared expenses, separate accounts for personal spending. It worked for us. Or it worked for her, I should say, because it gave her the privacy to hide expenditures I wasn't supposed to see. She was vague about her ex-boyfriends. I knew she'd had relationships before me. We'd been in our late 20s when we met. Obviously, we'd both dated other people. But when I'd ask about her relationship history, she'd give minimal details. Just a few guys. Nothing serious. None of them were right for me. She'd mentioned one college boyfriend, Derek, who she'd dated for 2 years. Ancient history, she'd said. We broke up over a decade ago. Haven't spoken to him since. He wasn't ambitious enough for me. That last detail is ironic now, knowing what I know. Derek wasn't ambitious enough, but apparently he became ambitious enough later. Or maybe that was never the real issue. 6 months ago, things started feeling slightly off. Nothing dramatic. Nothing I could put my finger on. Just a subtle shift in Cassandra's energy. She seemed distracted sometimes. I'd be talking to her and realize she wasn't actually listening. Sorry, what? She'd say, snapping back to attention. Work stuff on my mind. She started going to the gym more. Not suspicious on its own. Lots of people go through fitness phases. But she'd never been particularly focused on working out before, and suddenly she was going 5 days a week. I want to feel good about myself, she'd say. I've let myself go a bit. She hadn't let herself go at all. She looked great, but suddenly she was obsessed with her appearance in ways she hadn't been before. Our sex life diminished. Again, not dramatically. We'd never been particularly adventurous anyway, but the frequency decreased. Once a week became once every 2 weeks, then once every 3 weeks. When I'd initiate, she'd often say she was tired or stressed about work. Can we just cuddle tonight? I didn't push it. I figured it was normal for long-term relationships to have ebbs and flows. She started mentioning an upcoming conference more frequently. Big HR conference in Miami in March. Mandatory for senior managers. I'll be gone Thursday through Sunday. She'd mentioned it casually at first, months in advance. But as it got closer, she brought it up more often. Almost like she was establishing the narrative, making sure I was comfortable with the plan. 3 weeks before the Miami trip, I noticed her shopping for new clothes. Nice dresses, expensive lingerie. When I commented on the sexy underwear, she smiled and said, "Can I look nice for my husband? Maybe I'll surprise you when I get back." But she was packing that lingerie for the Miami trip, for a work conference. That should have registered as strange, but I dismissed it. Maybe she just wanted to feel confident. Maybe the nice underwear was for herself, not for anyone else. 2 weeks before the trip, I overheard part of a phone conversation. Cassandra was in our home office, door closed, talking to someone. I was walking past to grab something from the bedroom when I heard her laugh. A specific kind of laugh I hadn't heard in a while. Light, flirtatious, happy. I paused outside the door. I can't wait either, she was saying. It's been too long. I know. Thursday can't come fast enough. Okay, I need to go. Tyler's home. Yes, I'll text you later. When she came out of the office, I asked casually, "Who are you talking to?" "Oh, just Sarah from work. We're coordinating for the Miami conference." Sarah, her coworker. Except that laugh hadn't sounded like a work call. And why would she need to text Sarah later if they'd just been talking? I almost questioned it further. Almost asked why she'd said, "I can't wait," and "it's been too long" about a work conference. But I didn't. I dismissed my suspicion as unwarranted jealousy. Told myself I was being paranoid. The Tuesday before her Thursday departure, Cassandra seemed nervous. Excited, but nervous. She kept checking her phone, smiling at messages, then catching herself and putting the phone away when she noticed me watching. "Everything okay?" I asked. "Yeah, just stressed about the presentation I have to give at the conference. Want it to go well." Wednesday night, she packed. I watched her fold clothes into her suitcase. 3 cocktail dresses, the expensive lingerie, heels, a bikini. For an HR conference. "That's a lot of fancy stuff for a work trip," I commented. Her response was sharp. "What's that supposed to mean?" "Nothing, just cocktail dresses for an HR conference?" "There are networking dinners, Tyler. Nice dinners. I can't show up in business casual. I need to look professional and put together. And the hotel has a pool. I might use it to relax between sessions. Is there a problem?" "No, no problem. Just seems like a lot." "Well, maybe if you paid more attention to how I present myself instead of just criticizing, you'd understand that appearance matters in my industry." The defensiveness was notable. I was making a casual observation, and she turned it into an accusation that I didn't support her career. I backed off immediately. "You're right. Sorry. I'm sure you'll look great. Have a good trip." She softened. "I'm sorry too. I'm just stressed. I'll miss you." She kissed me, smiled, and went back to packing. That night, we had sex. It had been almost a month. She initiated it, which was unusual lately. Afterward, as we lay in bed, she said, "I love you. You know that, right? I love you too. I mean it. Whatever happens, remember that I love you." What do you mean, whatever happens? Nothing. Just, I love you. That's all. It was a strange thing to say. Ominous, even. But I was tired and assumed she was being emotional about the work trip. Thursday morning, Cassandra left at 6 a.m. Her flight was at 9 a.m. She kissed me goodbye, told me she'd text when she landed, wheeled her suitcase out to the Uber waiting in the driveway. I went back to sleep for an hour, then got up and ready for my own workday. At 8:30 a.m., my phone pinged with a notification I hadn't seen in months. "Cassandra is sharing her location with you." I stared at the notification, confused. We'd set up location sharing on a family tracking app called Life Circle about a year ago after I'd gotten lost hiking and had no cell service. The idea was that we'd always be able to find each other in emergencies, but we'd both basically forgotten about the app. It sat unused on our phones, silently tracking our locations without either of us checking it. Apparently, Cassandra had opened the app for some reason that morning, maybe accidentally, and it had automatically refreshed our location sharing permissions, sending me a notification. I opened the app out of curiosity, saw Cassandra's little icon at Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport. Made sense. Her flight was leaving in 30 minutes. I closed the app and went about my day. At 11 a.m., I checked again. Her icon was now in Miami. She'd landed. I texted her, "Hope you landed safe. Love you." Her response came 10 minutes later. "Just landed. Getting Uber to hotel. Miss you already." I went back to work, had client calls scheduled all afternoon, didn't think about Cassandra or the conference or anything unusual, just another work trip. That evening, around 6 p.m. Miami time, she sent a photo. The hotel lobby, upscale, modern, lots of marble and glass. Hotel is beautiful. About to grab dinner with some colleagues before tonight's welcome reception. I responded, "Have fun. Don't network too hard." At 10 p.m. my time, midnight Miami time, she texted, "Exhausted. Reception was boring but made some good connections. Going to bed. Love you. Good night. Good night. Love you too." Everything seemed completely normal. No red flags, no concerns. Friday morning, I woke up at 7 a.m. Phoenix time, 9 a.m. Miami time. Made coffee, checked emails, started my workday from home since I had no client meetings scheduled. Around 10 a.m., I remembered the location sharing app. Opened it out of idle curiosity, wondering if Cassandra was at the conference center yet. Her icon wasn't at the downtown Miami hotel where she'd sent the lobby photo. It was 30 miles north, at a location labeled Coral Bay Resort and Spa. I stared at the screen, confused. Why was she at a different resort? Had the conference changed venues? Had I misunderstood her itinerary? I opened her original email about the conference that she'd forwarded to me weeks ago. The conference was at the Hilton downtown Miami. All sessions were at that location. The hotel where she'd sent the lobby photo matched the Hilton address. So why was her location showing a completely different resort 30 miles away? I googled Coral Bay Resort and Spa. A luxury beachfront property came up. 5 stars. Romantic getaway destination. Known for couples packages and honeymoon suites. Definitely not a conference center. I felt my stomach drop. There had to be an explanation. Maybe the location was wrong. Maybe the app was glitching. Maybe she'd driven somewhere for a work event and the conference had partner activities at different venues. I texted her, "Hey, how's the conference going? Boring keynotes yet?" She responded 20 minutes later. "So boring. Currently in a session about compliance training. Kill me now. How's your day?" Currently in a session. But her location showed her at a beach resort. Unless the session was at the beach resort, that seemed unlikely. I didn't respond immediately. Instead, I searched for the conference itself. Miami HR Leadership Summit March 2025. Found the official website, looked at Friday's schedule. Multiple sessions running throughout the day, all at the Hilton downtown Miami. No events listed at Coral Bay Resort. My hands were shaking as I checked her location again. Still at Coral Bay. Not moving. I did something I'd never done before. I searched for Coral Bay Resort on Instagram, looking at recent location tags. Scrolled through photos from that morning. Couples having breakfast on balconies. Pool photos. Beach photos. Then I saw it. A photo posted 47 minutes ago by an account called Derek Martinez. The photo showed a breakfast setup on a balcony, 2 champagne glasses, 2 plates of food, ocean view in the background. The caption, "Finally got my girl back for the weekend." My vision blurred. Derek Martinez. Could it be the same Derek she dated in college? The one she'd said was ancient history? I clicked on the profile. The photo showed a man about our age, fit, professionally dressed in his other photos. Bio read, "Tech entrepreneur, Phoenix, Austin, living the dream." Phoenix. Cassandra had dated a Derek from Phoenix, a Derek she'd met in college. I scrolled through his photos. Most were professional, him at tech conferences, speaking engagements, travel photos, but then I found couple photos from months back. His arm around a woman whose face was mostly hidden by sunglasses and a hat. Another photo of two silhouettes at sunset, too dark to identify clearly, but the woman's build looked similar to Cassandra's. In the comments on the breakfast photo, someone had written, "About time you two went public. Happy for you." Another comment, "She's lucky to have you back." Back. As in, they'd been together before. As in, this wasn't new. I checked Cassandra's location again, still at Coral Bay Resort, still 30 miles from where she claimed to be sitting in a compliance training session. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. My wife was lying to me. Was with someone, was with Derek, her college ex-boyfriend, at a romantic beach resort, while telling me she was at a work conference. I called her. It went to voicemail. "Hey babe, I'm in a session. Can't talk. Text me if it's important." I texted, "When does your session end? Need to ask you something." She responded 15 minutes later. "Ends at noon, 2 p.m. Phoenix time. Can I call you at lunch?" It was currently 11 a.m. Phoenix time, so 1 p.m. Miami time. According to her, she was in a session until noon Miami time, 2 p.m. Phoenix time, but her location still showed Coral Bay Resort, not the conference center. I waited, watched the location. At 1:30 p.m. Miami time, her icon started moving, away from Coral Bay Resort, heading south. At 2:00 p.m. Miami time, noon Phoenix time, she called. "Hey, sorry, sessions ran long. What did you need?" "Just wanted to say hi. How's it going?" "Good. Learned a lot today. Currently grabbing lunch between sessions. How are you?" "Currently grabbing lunch." But her location showed her in a car, moving on the highway, heading back toward downtown Miami. "I'm good. Where are you getting lunch?" "Oh, just the hotel restaurant. Quick bite before the afternoon sessions start." The hotel restaurant. The Hilton restaurant. But she was currently 25 miles away from the Hilton in a moving vehicle. "Sounds good. I'll let you eat. Love you." "Love you too. I'll call tonight after the networking dinner." She hung up. I sat in my home office staring at my phone, feeling sick. My wife was lying to me. Was driving back from a beach resort where her ex-boyfriend had posted about getting his girl back for the weekend. Was telling me she was at conference sessions that she clearly wasn't attending. Was maintaining this elaborate deception while I sat at home completely oblivious. How long had this been going on? Was this the first time, or had other work conferences been cover stories for meeting Derek? I opened my laptop and started searching. Went to Cassandra's LinkedIn profile. She tagged herself at 4 HR conferences over the past year. March in Miami, currently happening. November in Austin, August in San Francisco, May in Chicago. Derek's Instagram showed him living in Austin. His photos showed travel to San Francisco and Chicago around the same times Cassandra had been at conferences in those cities. I felt like I was going to throw up. This wasn't a one-time mistake. This wasn't a spontaneous decision to meet up with an ex. This was planned, coordinated, multiple trips, multiple lies, months, maybe years of deception. I didn't know what to do. Confront her now over the phone? Wait until she got home? Gather more evidence first? I decided to document everything. Took screenshots of her location at Coral Bay Resort, screenshots of Derek's Instagram post with timestamps, screenshots of the conference schedule showing no events at Coral Bay, downloaded the photos from Derek's account showing the couple photos from previous months. Then I checked her location again. She was back at the Hilton downtown Miami, exactly where she was supposed to be, probably returning from her romantic morning at the beach resort, changing back into business clothes, getting her story straight for her next call to me. That afternoon, she sent me a selfie from the hotel lobby. Quick break between sessions. Miss your face. She looked beautiful, professionally dressed, smiling, like the perfect wife checking in with her husband. During a work trip, I responded, "Miss you too. Have fun at the sessions." That night, she called after the networking dinner. Told me about conversations she'd had with HR directors from other companies. Told me about a keynote speaker who discussed employee retention strategies. Told me she was tired and going to bed early. "Love you. Good night." "Love you too. Good night." I didn't sleep. Spent the entire night researching, documenting, trying to understand the scope of what I'd discovered. Checked her location periodically. She stayed at the Hilton all night. Probably sharing a room with Derek there now, since the romantic resort was too far for maintaining her cover story. Saturday morning, her location showed her at the Hilton. She texted around 9 a.m. "Sleeping in a bit. No sessions until 11. How's your morning?" "Good. Just making coffee. Thinking about going for a run." "Sounds nice. I miss our Saturday morning routines." Did she? Did she actually miss me while she was with Derek? Or was that just another lie, another performance in the elaborate play she was acting out? Around 10:30 a.m., her location moved again. Back to Coral Bay Resort. She was going back for another day with him. While texting me about missing our routines, I couldn't do this anymore. Couldn't pretend everything was normal while watching her lie in real time. I needed to decide what to do, how to handle this, whether to confront her now or wait until she got home. I called my brother Matt, told him everything, showed him the evidence, the location data, Derek's Instagram, the conference schedule proving she wasn't where she claimed to be. Holy shit, Tyler, I'm so sorry. What are you gonna do? I don't know. I can't believe this is happening. 6 years of marriage and she's been lying to me, probably for a long time. You need to talk to a lawyer before you confront her. Protect yourself. Document everything. Don't let her control the narrative. He was right. I needed to be strategic. Emotional confrontation would lead nowhere good. I needed evidence, legal counsel, a plan. I spent Saturday documenting everything I could find. Checked Cassandra's social media, no posts about the conference, but also nothing suspicious. Checked Derek's. He'd posted another photo from Coral Bay, this time of the sunset from their balcony. Caption, perfect ending to a perfect day. Sunday morning, Cassandra texted, heading to airport in a few hours. So glad to be coming home. I miss you. Her location was back at the Hilton. She'd packed up, checked out of wherever she'd actually been staying, was preparing to come home and pretend that the past 4 days had been exactly what she'd claimed they were. I responded, can't wait to see you. I love you. Did I still love her? I didn't know. I loved who I thought she was, but who she actually was. That person was a stranger, a liar, someone who'd built an entire alternate reality behind my back. That evening, I picked her up from the airport. She hugged me tight. I missed you so much. I missed you too. How was the conference? Exhausting, but good. Learned a lot. Made some great connections. I'm just glad to be home. We drove home. She told me about conference sessions that she hadn't attended, networking dinners where she hadn't been, professional insights she'd gained from events she hadn't experienced. Every word was a lie, delivered with perfect sincerity. At home, she unpacked while telling me about her trip. I watched her put away the cocktail dresses she'd worn with Derek, the lingerie she'd worn for him, the bikini she'd used at the beach resort. She was chatting happily, oblivious that I knew everything. I'm exhausted, she said, climbing into bed. Hold me? I held my wife while she fell asleep, knowing that everything about our marriage was a lie, knowing that tomorrow I'd need to start the process of ending it, knowing that the woman in my arms wasn't who I thought she was, and knowing that this betrayal, this elaborate deception, this double life she'd been living, it was all about to catch up with her. Monday morning, I woke up next to Cassandra feeling like I was living in an alternate reality. She was still asleep, breathing peacefully, completely unaware that I knew everything. I got up quietly, showered, and went to work like it was a normal day. Except nothing was normal. My entire marriage was a lie. My wife had spent the weekend with her ex-boyfriend while telling me she was at an HR conference. And based on the evidence I'd gathered, this wasn't the first time. At the office, I couldn't focus. Every time my phone buzzed with a text from Cassandra. Hope you're having a good day. Or, can't wait to see you tonight. I felt physically sick. She was maintaining the performance, acting like the loving wife while I knew the truth. During my lunch break, I called my brother Matt again. I need names, a good divorce attorney, and maybe a private investigator. You're really doing this? I have to. I can't live with someone who's been lying to me for years. I need to know the full extent of what's been happening before I confront her. Matt gave me 2 contacts. Rebecca Thornton, a divorce attorney known for handling complex infidelity cases, and James Chen, a private investigator who specialized in marital investigations. I called Rebecca's office first. I need a consultation as soon as possible. I have evidence of my wife's affair and I need to understand my options. Mr. Harrison, I have an opening tomorrow at 4 p.m. Can you bring documentation of what you've discovered? Yes, I'll be there. That evening, I acted normal. Came home from work, kissed Cassandra hello, asked about her day. She told me about catching up on work emails, how tired she still was from the conference travel, how she'd missed our routine. I'm so glad to be home, she said, leaning against me on the couch. Work trips are exhausting. I always miss you when I'm gone. I wanted to scream. Wanted to throw my phone in her face and show her the location data proving she'd been at a beach resort with Derek. Wanted to demand answers, demand honesty, demand she explain how she could look me in the eyes and lie so effortlessly. But I didn't. I smiled and said, I miss you too when you're gone. Tuesday afternoon, I met with Rebecca Thornton, mid-40s, sharp, no-nonsense demeanor. I showed her everything, the location data, screenshots of Derek's Instagram posts, the conference schedule proving Cassandra wasn't where she claimed to be, her text messages lying about her activities. Rebecca reviewed it all carefully. This is compelling evidence of infidelity. The location data is particularly damning. It's time-stamped, irrefutable proof she was somewhere other than where she claimed. How long have you been married? 6 years. No kids. That simplifies things. Arizona is a no-fault divorce state, so the infidelity itself won't impact the legal proceedings dramatically. But it can influence negotiations around asset division if we can prove marital misconduct. More importantly, this kind of deception suggests there may be financial elements we need to instigate. Financial element? Work expense reimbursements for trips that weren't actually work-related. Potentially fraudulent expense reports. If she's been claiming these romantic getaways as business travel and getting reimbursed by her employer, that's fraud. And if she's used joint credit cards or accounts to fund this affair, that's misappropriation of marital assets. I hadn't thought about that. How would we find out? That's where the private investigator comes in. Before you confront your wife, we need to understand the full scope of this situation. How long it's been going on, how many trips, what financial resources have been used, whether there are other lies we haven't uncovered yet. I want to hire the PI. What do I need to do? I'll coordinate with James Chen. You'll meet with him, provide him with everything you have, and he'll conduct a thorough investigation. This will take probably 2 to 3 weeks. During that time, you need to act completely normal. Don't confront your wife. Don't change your behavior. Let her think everything is fine while we gather evidence. I can do that. Mr. Harrison, I need to be clear about something. This will be expensive. Private investigation costs between $75, $100, and $150 per hour. A thorough investigation could run $5,000, $8,000. Plus, my retainer is $7,500. You're looking at $12,500, $15,500 up front. Can you afford that? I thought about our joint savings account, about the separate checking account I'd maintained for my sales bonuses, about whether financial costs mattered when my entire marriage was a lie. I can afford it, and it's worth every penny to know the truth. 2 days later, I met with James Chen, the private investigator. Former police detective now specializing in infidelity investigations. I showed him everything I'd compiled. This is good baseline evidence, James said, but we need more. I need access to her phone records, email accounts if possible, credit card statements, work calendar. The more access you can provide, the faster and more thorough my investigation will be. How do I get that without her knowing? That depends on what you have access to. Are you on a joint phone plan? Do you have shared credit cards? Do you have her email password or access to shared computers? We're on a joint phone plan. I'm the primary account holder. We have shared credit cards. And we have a shared laptop at home that she uses sometimes. Perfect. Get me the phone records from your carrier. You have legal access as the account holder. Pull credit card statements from the past 2 years. And if you can access her email or social media from the shared computer without hacking passwords, do that. Screenshot anything relevant. Messages, calendar entries, anything that proves contact with Derek or lying about her whereabouts. Over the next week, I systematically gathered evidence. Called our phone carrier and requested detailed billing statements for the past 2 years, showing calls and texts between phone numbers, including timestamps, logged into our joint credit card accounts, and downloaded statements from the past 2 years. Waited until Cassandra was at work, then accessed our shared laptop, where she was logged into her personal email. What I found was devastating. The phone records showed calls and texts between Cassandra's number and an Austin number almost daily for the past 2 years. Short calls, 5 to 10 minutes. Multiple times per day, late night texts, early morning calls, a pattern of constant contact. The credit card statements showed charges at romantic restaurants in cities where Cassandra had supposedly been attending conferences. Hotels that weren't the conference hotels she told me about. Charges at Coral Bay Resort in Miami, the beach resort where I tracked her location. Similar charges at luxury resorts in Austin, Chicago, and San Francisco, all during trips she'd claimed were work conferences. And her email. God, her email. I found an entire folder labeled Travel Confirmations that she'd apparently meant to hide but forgotten to password protect. Inside were booking confirmations for the romantic resorts, emails from Derek coordinating their meetups, romantic messages going back over 2 years. One email from 14 months ago. Cassandra, I can't wait for Austin. 3 full days together. I miss you so much. Tyler still doesn't suspect anything, right? Her response, he doesn't suspect a thing. He's so trusting it's almost sad. But that's what makes this work. I have my stable life with him, and I have our passionate weekends together. Best of both worlds. Another email from 8 months ago. Have you thought about what we discussed? About leaving him? I'm ready whenever you are. I want this to be real, not just stolen weekends. Her response, I'm not ready yet. Maybe next year. I need to figure out the timing, but I do want that eventually. Us, together, full time. I printed everything. Dozens of pages of evidence. Emails proving the affair had been ongoing for over 2 years. Credit card statements showing she'd spent thousands of dollars of our money on romantic getaways with Derek. Phone records showing constant communication. calendar entries proving that every work conference for the past 18 months had actually been a planned meetup with him. I gave it all to James Chen. Here's everything. Tell me what else you need. James reviewed the evidence. This is extensive. She's been planning this for years, but I need to do some additional investigation. I want to verify Derek's information, confirm the timeline, and most importantly, check whether she's been fraudulently claiming work reimbursements for these trips. How do you check that? I have contacts in corporate HR. If she's been submitting expense reports for trips that weren't actually work-related, that's fraud. Her company would want to know, and it becomes leverage in your divorce. 2 weeks into the investigation, James called me. I need to meet with you. Found some things you need to know. We met at a coffee shop far from my office and neighborhood. James pulled out a folder. Derek Martinez, 36 years old, divorced 2 years ago, founder of a tech startup that got acquired last year for $12 million. He's personally worth about $4 million now, living in Austin in a luxury condo. Okay, so he's wealthy. That's what attracted Cassandra. Partially. But there's more. I spoke with Derek's ex-wife. She was surprisingly willing to talk. According to her, Derek left her because he'd never gotten over his college girl. He'd been in contact with this old girlfriend for years, even while married. His ex-wife found messages, and that's what triggered their divorce. My stomach dropped. The college girlfriend was Cassandra. Correct. Derek and Cassandra broke up after college, but never really stopped communicating. They maintained periodic contact for years, even while you were dating and after you got married. About 2 years ago, Derek's marriage was falling apart, and he reached out to Cassandra more seriously. That's when the affair escalated from emotional to physical. So, she's been lying to me for our entire marriage. Essentially, yes. The affair became physical 2 years ago, but the emotional affair never really ended, even from college. I felt like I might throw up. What about the work expense fraud? James pulled out another document. I confirmed with a source at her company. Cassandra has been submitting expense reimbursements for every conference she supposedly attended. The company verified her registration at these conferences, but didn't verify her actual attendance. She'd register, pay the conference fee, then skip the actual event and spend the weekend with Derek. She'd submit expense reports claiming meals, lodging, and ground transportation related to the conference. Her company reimbursed her approximately $15,000 over the past 18 months for trips that were actually romantic getaways. That's fraud. Yes, major fraud. Her company could terminate her and potentially... That's significant leverage. I thought about Cassandra's career, her professional reputation, her senior HR role. All of it built on lies, just like our marriage. What's your recommendation? I asked. You have overwhelming evidence. The question now is how you want to proceed. You can confront her privately, file for divorce, and negotiate a settlement. Or you can expose her more publicly, inform her employer about the fraud, let Derek know the full scope of her deception. Make sure everyone knows the truth before she can control the narrative. I remembered the email where she'd called me, so trusting it's almost sad, where she described maintaining the stable life with him while having passionate weekends with Derek, where she'd reduced our marriage to a convenience while she planned her eventual exit. I want to expose everything. I want her employer to know about the fraud. I want Derek to understand he's been manipulated too. I want both of them to face consequences for what they've done. That's the nuclear option. It's going to get messy. Good. Messy is what this deserves. Rebecca Thornton helped me develop a plan. First, we'd prepare divorce papers, standard dissolution of marriage, equitable asset division, no kids to complicate custody. Second, we'd compile all evidence into a comprehensive dossier. Third, we'd coordinate the exposure, timing it perfectly to maximize impact and minimize Cassandra's ability to lie her way out. The plan hinged on Cassandra's next scheduled work conference. According to her calendar, she had another HR event in 3 weeks, this time in Denver. But I'd seen the truth in her emails. She wasn't going to Denver for a conference. She was meeting Derek at the Snowmass ski resort for a long weekend. I told Cassandra I had an unexpected work trip that same week. Big client meeting in San Diego, can't be rescheduled. I know your Denver conference is the same weekend. Bad timing. She looked relieved. It's okay. We'll just both travel for work. It happens. Over the next 3 weeks, I prepared. Transferred money from our joint accounts to my separate account. Only my contributed funds, nothing that was legally marital property. Compiled every piece of evidence into multiple copies. Coordinated with Rebecca and James booked my own flight, not to San Diego for work, but to Denver. The Wednesday before the weekend, Cassandra packed for Denver. I watched her prepare. Ski clothes this. Time, high-end winter gear, expensive après-ski outfits for an HR conference. Have a good trip, I told her Thursday morning as she left. Miss you too. Let's plan something special when we're both back. A nice dinner, She kissed me goodbye. wheeled her suitcase out, headed to the airport to fly to Denver, where she'd meet Derek at a romantic mountain resort. I left 2 hours later on my own flight to Denver, checked into a hotel near the Snowmass Resort, confirmed with James that Cassandra and Derek had both checked into the Mountain View Lodge. The same luxury hotel, same room. Rebecca had the divorce papers prepared and ready to serve. Friday afternoon, I drove to Mountain View Lodge, parked my rental car, walked into the beautiful lobby with its massive fireplace and mountain views, spotted Cassandra and Derek immediately, sitting at the lodge bar, drinking wine, laughing, his arm around her shoulders. I walked up to them carrying a leather folder. They didn't notice me at first, too absorbed in each other. Then Cassandra looked up and saw me. Her face went white. "Tyler, what are you doing here?" Derek turned, confused. Saw me standing there. "Who's this?" "I'm Tyler, Cassandra's husband, and you must be Derek, her college ex-boyfriend she told me was ancient history, the one she's been having an affair with for 2 years." People in the bar were starting to stare. Cassandra stood up, panicking. "Tyler, let me explain." "Explain what? That you've been lying to me for years? That every work conference was actually a romantic getaway with him? That you've been using our money to fund this affair? I know everything, Cassandra, everything." I opened the folder, pulled out divorce papers, handed them to her. "You've been served. I'm filing for divorce. These are the papers. You can review them with your attorney." Then I turned to Derek. "And you should know that you've been manipulated too. Cassandra told me your relationship ended in college and you hadn't spoken since. But I have emails going back years showing you two never really stopped. She was using you as her backup plan while using me for financial stability." I pulled out printed emails, showed him the one where Cassandra had written about keeping the stable life with me while maintaining their passionate weekends, where she'd called me so trusting it's almost sad. Derek's face changed as he read. "Cassandra, what is this? You told me your marriage was essentially over, that you were staying for practical reasons but planning to leave soon." Cassandra was crying now. "Tyler, please, can we talk privately?" "No, we're done talking. I've spent 3 weeks investigating your affair. I know about the other trips: Austin, Chicago, San Francisco, Miami. I know you've been submitting fraudulent expense reports to your company, claiming reimbursement for work conferences you never attended. I have phone records, emails, credit card statements, testimony from Derek's ex-wife. I know everything." I pulled out one more document, the compiled evidence dossier. "This is a copy for you. Another copy goes to your HR department on Monday, documenting your expense fraud. Another copy goes to Derek, so he understands the full scope of how you've been manipulating both of us. And another copy stays with my attorney as evidence in our divorce proceedings." Cassandra tried to grab the folder from me. "You can't do this. This will destroy my career." "Your choices destroyed your career. Your choices destroyed our marriage. I'm just making sure the truth is documented before you try to spin another lie." Derek stood up. "I need to get out of here. Cassandra, I can't believe you lied to me too. You said your marriage was over. You said you were planning to leave him. But these emails show you were stringing us both along." "Derek, wait!" But he was already walking away, leaving Cassandra standing alone in the lodge bar with divorce papers in her hands and a folder of evidence documenting her years of lies. I looked at my wife, soon-to-be ex-wife, one last time. "You called me so trusting it's almost sad. You thought my trust was weakness, but all you've accomplished is proving that you were never worth trusting in the first place." I walked out of that lodge, drove back to my hotel, and flew home the next morning. Left Cassandra in Denver to deal with the wreckage of her double life, collapsing in real time. The fallout was spectacular. Cassandra tried to call me repeatedly that weekend. I didn't answer. All communication went through Rebecca, my divorce attorney. Monday morning, I sent the evidence dossier to Cassandra's HR director with a formal letter documenting the expense fraud. By Monday afternoon, Cassandra had been suspended pending investigation. By the end of the week, she'd been terminated. Derek apparently broke up with her immediately after reading the full dossier. According to his ex-wife, who I'd started communicating with, bonded by our shared experience of Derek and Cassandra's lies, he was furious that Cassandra had lied to him about the state of her marriage and had been using him as her escape plan while maintaining her comfortable life with me. Cassandra tried to salvage her reputation, told friends we'd grown apart, that the divorce was mutual, that I was being vindictive about her finding happiness. But I'd anticipated that. I'd sent the evidence dossier to our mutual closest friends, the ones who deserved to know the truth. Showed them the emails where she'd called me so trusting it's almost sad. The credit card statements proving she'd spent thousands of our money on romantic trips with another man. The phone records showing 2 years of daily contact with Derek while lying to me about where she was going and who she was seeing. Our friends chose sides. Most chose mine. They'd seen the evidence, knew she'd been lying not just to me, but to everyone. Cassandra's social circle collapsed almost as fast as her career. The divorce proceedings were swift. We had no kids, relatively simple assets. Rebecca pushed hard on the expense fraud and the misuse of marital funds for the affair. Cassandra's attorney tried to negotiate, but we had overwhelming evidence. The settlement gave me 65% of our shared assets, compensation for the marital funds she'd misused. I kept the house. Cassandra got some retirement accounts and savings, but far less than she'd have received in a standard equitable split. 6 months after discovering her location at Coral Bay Resort, our divorce was finalized. I was 35, single, living in our house alone, processing the grief of 6 years of marriage built on lies. I started therapy, needed help unpacking the betrayal, the trust issues, the fundamental question of how I'd been so blind. My therapist, Dr. Sarah Chen, helped me understand. Cassandra was skilled at compartmentalization. She maintained 2 completely separate lives and kept them from overlapping. That takes deliberate, consistent deception. You didn't fail to see it. She succeeded at hiding it. There's a difference. How do I trust anyone again? Slowly, carefully, with people who demonstrate consistent honesty and transparency. You learned painful lessons about red flags and warning signs. You'll be more alert now, which isn't weakness. It's wisdom. 1 year after the divorce, I was doing better. Still in therapy, but healing. Reconnecting with old friends, focusing on my career, learning to be comfortable alone instead of jumping into a new relationship to avoid processing the old one. I heard through mutual acquaintances that Cassandra was struggling, unable to find another senior HR role after her termination for fraud, working in a lower-level administrative position making half what she'd made before, living in a small apartment alone. Derek had moved on, was reportedly dating someone new. Cassandra's grand plan for her escape into a wealthy relationship had imploded along with her career and social circle. 18 months after the divorce, I met someone. Rachel was a pharmaceutical rep I'd worked with professionally. Divorced herself 3 years earlier after her husband's gambling addiction destroyed their finances. She understood betrayal, understood the complexity of rebuilding trust. We dated slowly. I was honest about my baggage, my trust issues, my fear of being deceived again. Rachel was patient and transparent. Showed me her phone freely, told me her plans without me asking, introduced me to her friends and family early. She understood that trust wasn't given automatically anymore. It was earned through consistent honesty. 2 years after discovering Cassandra's affair through that accidental location notification, I proposed to Rachel. Different than with Cassandra. Older, wiser, more cautious, but also more certain. This relationship was built on honesty, not convenience, on transparency, not deception. We got married 6 months later. Small ceremony, just close friends and family. My brother Matt was my best man. Rachel's sister was her maid of honor. It was intimate, honest, real. 3 years after the divorce, I'm 37. Happily married. Cassandra is 35, still alone, still dealing with the consequences of her choices. She tried to maintain a double life. Stable husband for security, exciting affair for passion. She thought she could manage both indefinitely, that I'd never discover the truth, that even if I did, I'd be too trusting to do anything about it. She'd been catastrophically wrong, and that miscalculation cost her everything. Her marriage, her career, her social standing, her reputation, her relationship with Derek, and her comfortable life. The irony is that if she'd been honest, if she'd told me years ago that she wasn't happy, that she wanted to be with Derek, we could have divorced civilly. It would have hurt, but it would have been clean, honest. Instead, she chose years of lies. And when those lies were exposed, the consequences were far worse than any honest conversation would have been. I sometimes think about that iPhone notification. Cassandra is sharing her location with you. One accidental app refresh that revealed 2 years of elaborate deception. If that notification hadn't appeared, how much longer would her double life have continued? Would she have eventually left me for Derek as her email suggested? Would I have spent years more being so trusting it's almost sad, while she maintained her best of both worlds? I'll never know. But I do know this. Discovering the truth, as painful as it was, freed me from a fraudulent marriage and allowed me to build something real with someone honest. Cassandra's attempts to maintain her double life ultimately destroyed everything she'd built, and all because she underestimated the power of truth, the consequences of lies, and the inevitability that deception, no matter how carefully managed, eventually collapses under its own weight.